You're watching Let the Quran Speak, and we are looking at misunderstood Quranic verses. The verse we're looking at now is from chapter 17, verse 5. It talks about the children of Israel and the first destruction. We want to know, when did that first destruction take place? And with me is Dr. Shabir to discuss that. Dr. Shabir, welcome to Let the Quran Speak.
My pleasure to be on.
So tell me, Dr. Shabir, what the verse says and what the first destruction is.
Yeah, so the verse says, following from what we discussed in a previous episode, وَقَضَيْنَا إِلَىٰ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ فِي الْكِتَابِ لَتُفْسِدُنَّ فِي الْأَرْضِ مَرَّتَيْنِ. We have prescribed in the book or in the scripture for the people of Israel that you're going to cause corruption in the earth twice. Now, this present verse says, فَإِذَا جَاءَ وَعْدُ أُولَاهُمَا, when the first of the two occurred. بعثنا عليكم عبادا لنا أولي بأس شديد فجاسوا خلال الديار. We sent against you some of our servants, أولي بأس, who had great might, or they had like military equipment. فجاسوا خلال الديار, and they demolished the homes.
Mm-hmm.
They came in and ravished everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a promise that was fulfilled.
Mm-hmm. So that was the first promise then?
Yes. So this was the first. According to the explicit statement of the verse, this was the first of the two events.
Mm-hmm. So according to Muslim commentators, when did this event happen?
Of course, when Muslim commentators have their go at this, they're working with narratives that they get from their Jewish and Christian friends. They're trying to learn about the history of the people of Israel, like what happened when, by whom, and so on. And many of them latched on to the history that says that there was an Assyrian invasion against the Jewish tribes in the north. Now, to give some background to this, especially for our Muslim viewers who may not be so familiar with some of these details from the Bible, we know from the Bible that Jacob, Yaqub alayhi salam, known to Muslims as in the Arabic, by his Arabic name, he had 12 sons,
Mm-hmm.
and these sons became the, you can say, the eponyms of the 12 tribes of Israel, the forefathers of the 12 tribes of Israel. When they settled in the land of Israel, some were in the north and some were in the south. The tribes in the north were attacked in the year 721 in an invasion from the Assyrians. The whole region was demolished. The tribes were scattered. And so this was a disaster for the Israelite people.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't end there. Within a couple of hundred years, the Babylonians came for the Israelites in the south and took the Israelites, especially their elite members of their community, into captivity into Babylon. That was in the year 586. But only after they demolished the temple, which was built by Sulaiman alayhi salam, who is known as King Solomon in the Bible. Together, these two might sound like two events, but if we are to prepare for another event, which is going to be called the second event, which we'll have to get to, the commentators prefer to clasp these two events into one. To think about a long, drawn-out single event in which the Jewish tribes are being attacked, and there is a great deal of destruction here. So the Assyrian invasion and then the Babylonian captivity together would, according to many commentators, mark the first of the two events, the first of the two destructions.
Mm-hmm. So is this controversial? What is misunderstood about this verse, Dr. Shabir?
Well, this discussion becomes necessary in order for us to lay the foundation to discuss especially the second of the two occasions. Because some modern commentators want to leave it open that the second of the two destructions is yet to come.
Okay.
And there is a verse in the same surah, verse number 8, which says, "وَإِنْ عُدْتُمْ عُدْنَا," if you return, we will return, which would mean that if you go back to doing these evil things, then God will visit upon you the kinds of destruction which came before. But to make that the second of the two, I will show later, is a bit unrequired from the Quranic narrative. And it is better that we lay the foundation now to see what precisely was the first, and then we will come to see that the second, just to give a spoiler alert here, the second will be the destruction under the Roman ruler Titus in the year 70 of the Common Era. But sticking to the current narrative for the time being, Surah 17, verse number 5, saying that there will be the two destructions, and that when the first one comes, this is what is going to happen. Well, the first one is thought by Muslim commentators to be that long, drawn-out narrative. And what supports that is that, following from that, the 6th verse says, ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَا لَكُمُ الْكَرَّةَ عَلَيْهِمْ. And then we supported you, we caused you to return with a greater power against them. وَأَمْدَدْنَاكُمْ بِأَمْوَالٍ وَبَنِينَ وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ أَكْثَرَ نَفِيرًا. And we multiplied you in terms of wealth and children, made you even like a greater force in terms of the number of people. So this could refer to the intervening period after the return from the Babylonian captivity in the year 536 under the Persian ruler Cyrus. And then, of course, the Jewish community began to flourish. There was the rise of the Hasmonean dynasty in the year 167 before the Common Era. And then eventually King Herod in the year 37 ascended to his position of rulership. And then the temple was rebuilt. So that sets up the stage for the second destruction, which of course we have to yet discuss in detail. So we can see then that the first destruction was one that took place in past history, and it remains for us to see how the second one was also there in history.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thank you, Dr. Shabir.
You're welcome.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Muslim Media Hub, the new home of Let the Quran Speak.
Here we spread positivity and good. We help people experience the beauty of Islam and help them appreciate and understand Muslims.
This beautiful building we purchased at cost $2.3 million.
Yeah, we've already raised a third of that money, and with your help, inshallah, we can pay off the rest.
So we're looking for people who can give $1,000 each. If you can be part of the select group, that's amazing.
Otherwise, just please give whatever you can. Every dollar counts.
It's our collective responsibility to share the message of Islam with our fellow human beings. Please help us continue this good work.
It's a sadaqah jariyah, something that will continue to be a benefit to the Muslim community long after Safiya and I are gone.
Please support our work at muslimmediahub.com.
Your support is zakat eligible and tax deductible.
May Allah bless you and your loved ones today and always. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.